In this video, I'm going to be talking about how to filter in Mapipedia. So start by clicking on the filter button. Again, you can get more information by clicking on the eye. So filters are useful if you don't want to see all the animals on the screen at the same time, or if you want to be able to select different combinations of animals. So for example, if you only want to see the females, or if you only want to see animals that are less than 2 years old, for example, you can either filter out all the other animals, or you can select the ones that you are interested in and see how they're moving relative to the rest of the herd. So to add a filter, click on this add button, and then when you click on here to edit it, the first thing you want to select is the field that you actually want to filter on. So you'll notice that there's the tab groups and the geofences, which have been created in other tabs in Mapipedia, and there's other tutorials on how to do that. There's an age filter here, which is added automatically if you have a date of birth field. So if you've added master data and you've created a date of birth field, then the software can work out the age, so then you can start filtering based on age. There's a couple of IDs here that are part of the Ceres Tag data, and these other fields here are some of the master data fields that we added, so the sex, the breed, and the stuff too, the date of birth. So if we want to, for example, look at all the females, then we can click on the sex. It will automatically select the type here. So this type corresponds to the master data type here. And so if we click on here, I'll go back into there, and then we can select the sex. So it's a text, which means you can do things like, does it contain a certain value? Does it equal a certain value? Does not contain or does not equal? A lot of these options are very similar to the sorts of options that you might see in Excel. So for now, let's just look to see if we can see all the values that are F. So if we click OK, make sure that this apply button is selected. And then if we click on filter, then we see that there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 animals that are visible here. And there's also probably another one visible over here. So if we hover over that, we can see that that's also a female. So that has selected, that's made visible. It hasn't selected any of them, but it's made visible 6 tags. Now, if instead of filtering them, so if we click on clear selection, we get all those back. If instead we select them, then again we've got 6 tags, but this time they've been selected and all the tags are still visible. So now if we start moving around, if we hover over, say, one of these selected ones, we can see that that's a female, and here we can see the males are the ones that are not selected. And then if you want, you can press play and see how the females have been moving compared to the males, and that might give you some ideas as to how they're interacting. You can also add other types of fields. So if we say want to look at, so before when we looked at these females, we saw that there were 6 selected, but one of them was selected in another state. So let's just say that we want to get all the females that are inside this Woodstock geofence. So we can now select a geofence and say we want to get all the females that are inside Woodstock. So these are all the different geofences that we've created. And now let's click OK. And now both of these are being applied. So we should be getting all the females inside Woodstock. So we would expect to see 5 animals. So let's click on the select, and now we are only seeing 5. Okay. So if we were to say we want to get all the ones that are not inside Woodstock, then we would expect to get that 6th female, which will be 1, and we can't see it on the screen because it's in the other state. So let's put that back to inside Woodstock. And if we want to, and let's just filter them again. So we've got those 5. And if we were to say, okay, let's grab all the males instead, and then filter. So now we've got the other 6. So there's obviously 6 males and 6 females, but in this case they're all inside that Woodstock zone. And we can easily disable them. In this case, it won't make any difference because there's no females outside of. Sorry, there's no males outside of Woodstock. So some of the other types of filters that you can add is, in this case, we could put an age. So because it's a number, you've got comparisons like, less than, does not begin with, less than or equal to. You can also do contains with number. So if it's a really long number, but you know that it ends in 55, then you can, do a search with ends with, or if there's 55 inside the number, you can do different sorts of filtering there. What are some of the other options that we've got here? There's the date of birth, so you can do a search for a particular date. There's the IDs, which can also be pretty useful. Now let's just say that we wanted to create a group for all the males. Let's just say that we want to create a group for all the females that are inside the woodstock zone. So we'd select those two, we'd leave this one deselected, which we can delete that one because it's not really doing anything anyway. And then if we can either filter them so that we get those 5 we were talking about before, or we can select them. So now we've got these 5 animals that are selected. If I turn off the filter and then go select, now we've got all of these 11 animals that are inside this woodstock area. So let's just say that we select the females, and let's just say that we want to put this into a group. So we can say, okay, we've got these 5 selected animals, and we can go to this group, say, and then we can call it females, woodstock females. And then if we click on this edit button, then these 5 selected items. So do you want to put these 5 tags into this group? We say yes. And so now we just created a group for the female woodstock items. And we can also create a group for all the woodstock items. So if we go select again, so now we've got these 11 items selected, and we can create a group and say, okay, we just want one for all the woodstock items, all the woodstock tags. And we go, so we've currently got 11 of them selected, and if we go edit, we do want to add those 11 tags. We'll click OK. So now we've got a group with for the woodstocks, and we've got another group for the woodstock females. Now the reason why it's often useful to want to have a group associated with a geofence is because you might want to set up an alert. So in this case, later on in another tutorial, we might say if any of the woodstock animals, so anyone in the woodstock group, goes outside the woodstock geofence, then send an SMS or an email alert or something like that. So that's why these groups can come in handy. And you can also then start to filter on groups. So once you've created a group, you can then add it and say, look, I just want you to show me everyone that's part of the woodstock females. And if you go select, now that's come up here. So you can do lots of different combinations of filters, and you can apply or disable different filters as you like. And then if you just want to clear all these selections, you can just click on that. And there's also a select all option, just in case you want to, maybe export them all to a CSV file, or you might want to have everyone in a group except for a couple. So then you can just easily select them all and then manually deselect them. There's also the select all options down here and the clear all options down here as well. But that's everything that you need to know about filters.